So good morning, everybody. Can you hear me well? Oh, that's loud. So how many of you have been already on breakout sessions yesterday afternoon? Any of you? Did any of you got music before starting the breakout? This is the first one, thanks to Nick, our DJ here, helping us out. My name is Augusto Valdez. I'm in the Windows organization, driving our strategy for Windows 10 in phone and tablet, small devices, for our commercial efforts. And that is something that I have been doing for quite a while now in our organization, very focused in mobile, in the areas of phone and small tablets. And then with me today is Nick Hederman. He's in the Lumia organization. We work very closely together. He basically does similar to my role, but focuses specifically on driving the Lumia strategy for the commercial segment, which goes hand in hand into what we are doing in the operating system. So we work very closely there. So I'm excited about having you guys here this morning. We're very excited about what we're doing in 10 and in Windows 10. And in the next about 60 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about what our strategy for Windows 10 in commercial is, specifically on the mobile area for phones and small tablets, and what we're building up in there. So let's get started. Let's see if I have a. There we go. So what we'll do, we will start from the high level, and then we'll start drilling down into the more specifics of what we're doing in 10. But the first thing that I would like to do before jumping into what 10 is and what are the capabilities and the characteristics that we're building for Windows 10 for phones and let me talk a little bit about who we are building Windows 10 for at a very generic level. And we identify that in any organization or in any place, I mean, there is this constant tension that is happening for users that is in between what I need to do or what I have to do, what my responsibilities are, what I need to do for work, what I need to do for any type of obligation that I have, balancing out and always tensioning against what I want to do, right? I mean, what I want to do in my personal life, with my family, with things that I want to do and things that I just want to get done at any particular time. And there is this constant tension in those two angles that people need to juggle with all the time. And then in the IT organization, this happens as well, where there is things that I want to keep and stay on the status quo and not modify on my implementation, because that may force me to incur in costs, or that may force me to delay, for example, deployment of different type of things. So it's important for me, if something is working fine, as much as possible, not touch it. But at the same time, IT receives lots of pressure from the business, trying to move things forward, trying to come up with new services, trying to increase the productivity of end users. And we need to also always continue to balance those two things that are constantly in tension. So there's all these different things that we have as a user or as a person, as an individual, that are forcing me to decide whether I go this direction or that direction. And it's forcing me to actually do something. And that is what Windows 10 is built for. We're building Windows 10 for people of action, for people to have to do things. And that is very important in this particular release for us. We're focusing our attention into building a product that is going to help people achieve or do more with this operating system. And that includes what we're doing for Windows 10 across all the different devices that we have. And we'll talk a little bit about that in more detail in the next few slides that we have here. Now, specifically for enterprise, there are 4 key areas that we're focusing on building Windows 10. And again, I mean, I'm still at a very, very generic level. This is not specifically for phone or for mobile tablets. This is for Windows 10 in general. And for enterprises, what we are focusing Windows 10 to be is to, of course, help people increase their productivity and be more productive, be able to do more, based on the description that I just gave you on the way that we are building Windows 10. The second thing is about providing an operating system that will allow people to have innovative devices, no matter what they need to do at one particular time, and be consistent across all these different devices that we use. The third thing that we're focusing on Windows 10 for enterprises is to build a system that will allow you guys to have security against the most modern threats that are in market today. So to be able to secure that operating system. And then the fourth thing is about managing these devices that are coming into the organization from multiple different sources. Some of these devices are coming into the organization by users bringing them up, and some of these devices are coming to the organization by the organization issuing them to the end users. And we want to be sure that we're building up an operating system that is flexible enough to do or to support these multiple different type of scenarios on how devices are coming up into the organization. And of course, we're building Windows 10 as well, specifically now for mobile, to be sure that it takes advantage of all the existing investments that you might already have in Microsoft or Windows technology, like Exchange, Office 365, and increase the productivity and the go-to-market of the implementations that you do with Windows 10. So that's what we're doing for enterprise, those 4 things. And what I will do in the rest of the session is to give you a little bit of more context into what are the capabilities or features that we're creating in the product to support those 4 key areas: the productivity area, the multiple devices, multiple innovative devices, the security area, and then the management area. Now, this session is intended to be a generic look at all that, and I'll show you in a few minutes also how we have a set of different sessions during the rest of the week that will drill down very deeply and very technically in each one of those areas that I'm going to go through today. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about what Windows 10 is, technically speaking, on what are the key areas of engineering that we have been thinking we're going to be using for building this release. And you have probably already seen this slide, but it is important to bring it up again because it is core into what we are doing with Windows 10, building up a single operating system that will allow us to have, number one single experience, but one single experience that is adaptable by the type of device that you're using at one particular time. So what this means is that it's going to be consistent, the experience across all different devices, from devices that are smaller as an Internet of Things type of device, going up into a small phone or a phablet, going up into a small tablet, a two-in-one laptop, PC, even in the bigger screen, like, for example, Xbox, and then the new Surface Hub that we have just announced as well. And all these devices are going to have a consistent experience, but that it is adapted by the screen size that you're using at one particular moment. And this is going to be something that will enable customers to move from one device to the other really quickly. One of the key principles that we have in Windows 10 as well is that we realize now that the devices are not mobile. What is mobile is a person. And we should create an operating system that allows the person to be mobile no matter which device they are using. So the mobility is on the person, is not necessarily on the device. And that's the reason why we're building this experience that scales well across all devices, so people can be mobile and move from one device to another device, and then to another device, and have a familiar experience and a familiar way to actually interact with those devices. And then the content is moving with them seamlessly. So that's about one experience. The second one is about having one single platform. And what this means by this is that it is important for us to have now arrive into our vision, which was to have one single platform where you can create an application and have that application deployed in any of these devices that are running Windows 10, the same app. So you create the app, and then the app will have components that will adapt depending on the screen size that app is going to be running, but the app itself is the same. So for the end user, again, it's a very consistent experience on how they experience that app. And for the developer, it's a very consistent experience of how they create the app and make that app available for any Windows 10 device that their end users might be using. And then finally, it's about having one single store. So one single place where the consumers, either they are regular consumers or business users, etc., can go and acquire the content that they want to run on those devices. And when I say content, I say content very carefully, because we're going to have one single store, not only for acquiring apps, but also for acquiring music or videos or any other content that you want to consume on that particular device. Now, of course, there are enterprise considerations on the store that we'll talk about later, but in the principle, from what we're doing for the end users, this is what we are building up in here. And later on, we'll talk about the specific considerations that we're having from the store perspective for enterprise organizations. Does that make sense? So these are the fundamentals that we are thinking when we are building up Windows 10, and these are the reasons why we're building up Windows 10 this particular way. Now, this session is all about mobile. So we're going to be focusing on, more specifically, on the second and third devices from the left that you have in there, small phone and small tablets. And the idea that we have here is that even though, as I said before, it's one single experience, one single platform, one single store, there is certain optimizations that we have done for certain specific devices based on the use type that that particular device will have. So in this particular case, which are devices that you typically carry on your phone, we are focusing into creating a mobile and touch-first experience that will enable me to be more proactive on the device that I'm holding with me all the time. So we're, of course, focusing a lot on battery life. We're focusing a lot on the specific sensors that this type of device tend to have, like proximity sensors, GPS, and stuff like that. Also, the radios that you're going to use to communicate on this type of devices is something that we're paying specific attention. So it's very important that we focus into those areas and we make the phone a very smooth and great experience, and that is something that we're focusing on in Windows 10 alone for phones as well. As I said before, it is touch first because we realize that the most common input interface that you use when you're using a phone or a small tablet is your finger. So we're optimizing for that. That does not mean that we're not going to support other type of inputs on those very same devices, like, for example, mouse or keyboard, or pen, for example. So all those components are embedded into there as well, but it's a touch-first device as a first experience. It is, of course, optimized for small form factors. So the idea is that the devices are going to be relatively small screens. So we're optimizing the way that we are arranging the content and arranging the information in the device to make sense for that. It is cloud connected to be able to connect into my content so I can move and roam around between multiple different devices. But of course, we also support offline scenarios as well. And for the enterprise, I'll talk a little bit about some of the activities that we're doing to also be able to disconnect from the cloud and then use private services to be able to provide capabilities for end users or for business users. And then finally, it's going to be simply the best Windows 10 PC companion. And you'll see that when I show you some of the next slides and some of the demonstrations that I want to make, that I want to give to you. The idea is that if you have a Windows 10 tablet or a Windows 10 PC, the experience is completely seamless when you're moving into phone, and there is multiple different things that you're going to be able to do in coordination with those two different type of devices, allowing you to, again, be mobile using no matter which device you're using at one particular time. Now, moving on, what I wanted to do is I wanted to also give you a little bit of an early look at some of the sessions that we're going to have today. And this is, I think it's going to be the last eye chart that you're going to see, the first and the last eye chart that you'll see today. We are today on the first session. This is kind of like kicking off our track on sessions that are specifically dedicated on Windows Phone, if you will, or in the phone area. And you'll see that there I have drill downs into each one of the sections that I described before. This is the one around productivity. We're going to have another one around security. We're going to have multiple around mobile device management. We're going to have another one around provisioning. We have others about developing applications for Windows 10 Mobile. So you see that there is lots of investments that we're doing there into building up a rich agenda for you to consider. Now, the interesting thing is that this is on top of the close to 100 sessions that we have in Windows 10 today or in this week in general, which, as I said before, they tend to be about mobile as well, because we're combining all these operating systems into just one. So typically when I talk about security in phone, it's very consistent with security on PC as well. When we talk about mobile device management on phone, it's very consistent with mobile device management now on PC with Windows 10. When we talk about productivity on phone, it's very consistent when we talk about productivity on Windows PCs and vice versa. So you'll see that we are arriving into that particular one. So you have here the list. All right, so let's start drilling down a little bit in each one of those sections, okay? Let's talk a little bit about how we are going to allow Windows 10 to be a more proactive environment for end users to take advantage of. So the first thing that comes in mind when you're talking about productivity is that it has to be easy to use. So the user experience has to be clean, has to be easy, has to be something that I can interact with no problems. And we're building it up so it's a very familiar user interface. It is coming from what we have already done for Windows Phone 8 and 8.1 and Windows Phone 7. It's evolving into that. It is going to be very familiar, as I said before, and connected into what we have with Windows PC, and I'll show you some examples of that. It is going to, and we have been testing this with those user groups, it's going to allow us to basically save lots of time in productivity by reducing the amount of clicks, for example, or the amount of taps that you need to do to achieve one particular action, or send one particular email, or look for some particular calendar item on my calendar, or in development area, for example, we save lots of time into developing applications one single time that will run across all different devices. So there is lots of productivity enhancements that we do by having a familiar user interface, not only for end users, but also for developers that are potentially creating line of business applications in your organization and stuff like that. So let's start talking about some of them. So the first one, of course, we always have to start from the beginning, and the beginning is on the start screen. So we have here the start screen that basically shows you how we're moving into a world where they are going to be very consistent in between the phone and the PC. We started to do something like this with Windows Phone 8.1 and Windows 8.1, and they were similar, but they were not quite the same, right? I mean, we did have live tiles in one and live tiles in the other, but the live tiles were not really the same. With Windows 10, we're moving into a world where the live tiles are the same. The notification engine that is powering these live tiles on the back end is going to be the same as well. So if I dismiss a notification, for example, on my live tile on my phone, on an application that I have on my phone, for example, email, and I happen to have that same email application on my PC, which will be the most likely scenario, that notification would not pop up there again because they're running against the same engine. And if I dismiss it in one, it'll be dismissed in all of them. And there's many other examples of what we are doing to actually make these experiences very consistent. The APIs also on the live tiles to develop applications and show information on the live tiles on those applications, it's going to be the same across phone and PC as well, so we're bringing lots of consistency in there. And I'll show you some of the other examples of what we have done in the start screen on a little demo that I'll show you in a second. We're bringing Cortana into the PC. And many of you have probably played around a little bit with Windows Phone 8.1 already. How many of you guys have seen Cortana in Windows Phone 8.1? Great. So I hope you are as excited as I am as how Cortana is helping me out in the different things that I'm doing in my daily life. But now we're bringing Cortana onto the PC. And I'll show you some examples of how by having Cortana on the PC really enhances my experience with Cortana on the phone. Because now there are complete scenarios that I can actually use in a much more sense way where I start an activity on one device and then I can continue that activity in other device. And there is completely and seamless integration in between those scenarios. Now, we're also enhancing Cortana. So it's not just we're porting Cortana from the phone and put it into the PC. There's new activities and new scenarios, new reminder types that we have, new services on the back end that we are enabling with Windows 10 that will also become available on phone as they will become available on PC. And it's going to give us also a richer experience of Cortana on the phone from what we have today. We're also expanding the availability of Cortana into many other countries. And that is also going to give us a better footprint into how we make Cortana smarter on the way that she targets different type of things. How many of you have seen Action Center in Windows Phone 8.1, which is this thing that you pull down from the top and then you see your activities and notifications? We're bringing that into the PC, and we are enhancing that and also bring those enhancements back into the phone. I'll show you some examples of that into the section, into the demonstration, but it is something that we're also bringing up into a consolidated way that is going to, again, improve my productivity by having a central place to have my notifications, but also very familiar on the way that I do it on the PC, on my tablet, and on my phone, and just be able to even take actions on some specific things right from my notification center itself. Now, we just, actually, I should have changed the title in here, but this is, let's go back one. I think I have to point there. Okay, which is Project Spartan. We have now the name for this, which is Microsoft Edge. It's the new browser that we have that we have just announced. This is going to be the browser on the phone, and it's going to be the default browser on tablets and PCs as well. So we're going to have, again, a consistent experience across all these different devices for this particular release. It is secure by default. It has all the secure elements of a modern browser embedded into it, and we're building it up so it's kind of like self-contained, so it doesn't allow me to spread out malware or stuff like that within inside the operating system on the phone. Now, we're also completely redoing the email and calendar experience on the phone, and I'm happy to announce that this is going to be basically based on Outlook. We're creating Outlook and completely Outlook capabilities with inside the phone, and the experience is going to be very consistent on what we deliver with the PC as well, and I'll show you some examples of that. It is very rich. We're doing some of these activities across multiple different types of devices, not just Windows-based devices. So we have released also Outlook mail and client experiences on iOS and Android. We're having a consistent user interface with this Outlook experience here, but of course being in Windows allows us to have some specific differentiation that is not available in the other platforms just based on the limitations that we have on the other platforms to release some of those things, and I'll show you some examples of that. We're doing the same thing with Office. So we're going to have a brand new Office experience built in for Windows touch type of devices like Windows 10 Mobile, and we're going to have Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and OneNote with full capabilities in there, the same ribbon experience that we have on the PC, but it is completely touch optimized, so it's a very seamless experience. It's a very seamless way for me to interact with my documents in there. I'll show you some of those things. So after going through that really quick summary, let me actually switch into a demo and show you some of the things that we have done. You want to see a demo? Sure. All right, so let's do that then. So for that, let me switch into this other machine here, which is my own Surface. And as you have probably noticed, I'm not from here. I have a little, I don't believe I have an accent, but people say that I have an accent. I am from Peru, and I get paid by the government by showing a little bit of a commercial of Machu Picchu here, so think about going there as soon as you can, because it's a beautiful place. And yes, that's my family. And what I want to do is I want to actually show you my phone here as well. So for that, let me just show here the projection of my phone. And I'm going to do a little bit of a setup here by just moving this window into the side, because I actually want to show you these two things running at the same time. So this is the way to do it the best. So as you can see, this is a new Windows phone interface that we have, the Windows 10 mobile interface that we have here with Windows 10. Some of the noticeable things that you can see at the beginning is that, for example, we have now a consistent background that you can have and you can put into the whole background of your phone. And you see it's the same one that I have on my PC, so it looks very similar to me. And if I bring up the new Start menu on my Windows phone, or my Windows 10 machine, you'll see that the experience is very consistent as well. Some little things that we have done to, again, and there are multiple little things like this that are going to make the experience much more familiar when I move from one device to the other, is that so you've seen Windows Phone, right? If I want to scroll through my start screen on my phone, how do I go? Up and down, right? So I go up and down to see all my applications. In Windows 8 tablet, how did I went to look at more tiles? Left to right. Inconsistent, right? So what we're doing now is we're building little things like that to make more consistency. So for example, in my start screen now, I can go up and down, similar to what I do on my phone, bringing a very, very similar way for me to interact. And as you can see, the lifestyles are the same. I have a very consistent experience, and you can customize your phone to actually make it very consistent one and the other. The other thing that we're doing, for example, is that, see, for example, if I go to full screen on my start menu, not the healthcare application, that one, you see, it looks very similar and transparent and translucent, similarly to what I have on my phone with the same interaction that I have on my lifestyles. And then here to the side, I have all my applications where I can basically just go and then check. In a similar way where I can go back into my phone here, and if I swipe to the side, I can see all my applications as well with the most recent applications that I have installed on the top, and then back down here, I can see all the other different applications that I have. So it's very easy for me to navigate through these. Now, as I said before, we have done some things in this is the Action Center, the new Action Center that we have in Windows 10 Mobile. And some of the interesting things that we have in here is that we're adding support for the fact that in the top row, today in Action Center, we have up to 4 or 5, depending on the size of the screen, that you have quick actions that you can have access quickly. Users love that. They wanted us to have more, so now if you expand, now you can have multiple actions that you can have in there and have quick access to those activities. That can be anyone that you want, and you can customize that thing. Other thing as well is that, for example, here you can see that I have been receiving some notifications on my phone. I can see those notifications right here. If you have been using Action Center before, I could dismiss I could dismiss a group of notifications. I could not dismiss one single notification. Now we have fixed that, and you can dismiss just one single one, and it gets dismissed, or you can dismiss the whole group, and it goes away as well. Something else that you can do as well is that if you receive a text message, for example, you can quickly reply to that text message directly here from the Action Center without having to go to the text to the messaging application itself. I'll show you some of those things later on. I have a session tomorrow at 3:15 that I will do more extensive demos into those different type of things. But as I said before, one of the key things that we're doing with Windows 10 is the integration of what we're doing on the phone, on the PC. So I have the exact same experience of my notification center or action center in my PC as well, which I'm showing here side by side. And you can customize the colors to match the colors if you want. I just happen to like black in my phone and blue on my screen. So you can actually have those two things different if you want to do so. I have my quick actions here on the button. Here I can also dismiss one by one, no problem. And I can also expand and have more actions or more activities down here on the phone. And you see how consistent the interface is in one and the other, and that is what we're building up in Windows 10 as a very consistent way to interact with those two things. How many times I have said consistent today? I have to stop doing that. All right, so the next thing is about Cortana. So if I go back here and one of the things that we're doing is that we're building up Cortana for the PC. So if I invoke Cortana, I have Cortana right in there. It's coming up with my home screen in there, and it's showing me my home and all the different interests that I have declared to Cortana that I want to follow, that of course are customizable. I can remove it, change it, etc. I can call up Cortana here on my phone as well. And you'll see that we have refreshed the way that Cortana looks on the phone. So they both match, and they are consistent, one in the other. And you see I'm having the same information in one that I had in the other. It's basically tracking here some of the flights that I'm going to be on a vacation soon, so I'm very excited about that. And down below here, you'll see that I'm tracking, say, for example, the same soccer matches. Soccer is something that I like very much. We in Peru, we like soccer, but we suck at it. We never win anything. But we like it. We like it a lot. We're very soccer fans. But you see here how we can have all the information that I have in Cortana in one place in the other, and it gets replicated automatically. Now, the interesting thing is that I've been using Cortana a lot, and I love the reminders. But it always bugged me that when I want to get reminded about something and I'm on my phone, and I want to set up a reminder, typically doesn't make a lot of sense, because since I'm on my phone, I can typically do the thing that I wanted to get reminder later. I can make that phone call. I can do that thing that I wanted to do. Now that we have Cortana on the PC, it is actually much more interesting when you can do things like this, for example, right? So, hey, Cortana, remind me to shut up in 5 minutes. Yes. Yes. She should have, the audio, I think I was in low volume. It's not your fault. I think it's my fault on the phone, on the PC. But Cortana would have told me, right? So now the reminder is set up. So this is very interesting, because now what happens is that in any other device that I'm using at any particular time, that reminder is going to fire up. So I could be on my tablet 5 minutes later, or I could be on my phone 5 minutes later, and I will get that reminder in whichever Windows 10 device I'm using at that particular time. And that way it makes more sense for me. Imagine if you set up a reminder by geographic location, like remind me to buy milk when I'm close by a grocery shop. You do that while you are working, very concentrated into your Excel spreadsheet, working at your office, and then you reminded that your wife told you, get milk. So then you have to go and then set up that reminder, and then that reminder is going to fire up in your mobile device while you are driving back home and going back close to a grocery store. All right, so that is Cortana. Let me show you another example of what is the, by excellence, the productivity application that you typically have on your phone. What is what we do? We look at email, right? Sorry about that. So let me open up our brand new email experience on the phone here, which, as I said before, is basically Outlook. So you here have a full Outlook application. It has flags. It has read emails and read emails. All my different type of capabilities for email Outlook are in here. I can swipe to one side, for example, and delete this email, or I can swipe to the other and set up a flag. I can configure this and make it so it deletes something or it moves into a different folder, etc. So I can completely customize that. And that is the experience that I have in there. The interesting thing is when you see what we're building, which is the exact same application in the tablets or PCs. So if I open up my same Outlook application, you see how similar they are. And say, for example, that I want to open up this particular email from David, which is talking about this new training. And let's open up the exact same email down here on my phone, on my tablet. They look the same, right? To show you the adaptability of what we're doing with Windows 10, it is important for me to explain you a little bit of a concept that we announced a few months ago when we announced Windows 10 for the first time, but we started detailing last week at the Build conference, which is this concept of the universal apps, or how we're calling them up now, the Windows apps, which are adaptable. And I talked about that a few minutes ago when we were talking about the one single platform, which allows me to have one single application that I can develop and then target into multiple different devices, and then the application adapts depending on which devices you are using on the screens of the device that you're using. So in this example, I have here this application running on my tablet, and if I start grabbing this window and make it smaller, look what happens. the application starts adapting depending on the size of the window, all the way up until it actually becomes the same app that I have on the phone. It's the same thing. So if I press here the back button on my phone, I'm sorry, I press the reply button. Let's delete this. I go back into my list of emails, and if I press back here on my tablet, it's the exact same application. And if I start making it big again, then the application readapts and then shows more information because it's knowing that it has more space to do it because it's a bigger screen. Does that make sense? All right. So now let me just show you a little bit bigger. Now we're going to be focusing more on the phone. Some of the things that we have done to actually make a great productivity experience on the Outlook client as well. So I can open up this email, again from David, and let's now reply to it. So if I reply to it, you'll see, for example, that I have here the email. I have the original email down here, and I can start typing it here. And the interesting thing is that, say, for example, that I want to talk about this particular section in here. Oh, I should shut up. You see, the Cortana application that I set up on the PC, now it's coming automatically down here on the phone, so I'll complete it, but I won't really shut up for a second. And let me continue to select this. And that was on purpose, of course. And something that you can see is that now I can bring up my menus. And something that we can do here is that since we're full Office integrated, the email editing capabilities that I have, it's actually Word. So I can go to the format, I can bold that piece, I can highlight it, right? And then I can go back into the top and look at the beautiful things that I can do. I can bring up here that I want to insert a table, and I want to make this table with banded rows, total row. Let's change the style options here. Table styles. So I can change that out here and then make it a little bit more colorful. There you go. So you have all the capabilities that you have in Word available on your email editing capabilities. You can do bullets, you can do whatever you want. And this is just to show you a little bit of the power capabilities that we have in this release when we have a Windows 10 infrastructure that allows us to integrate all these different points of connection. Now, if I go back, the last thing that I wanted to show you is an example that we have here on, say, for example, using PowerPoint here. Oh, it's asking me to shut up here as well. It's complete. So I have here a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm opening it up right now. And the idea here is just to show you quickly how PowerPoint shows up into the phone. I have full editing capabilities now. I can edit the transitions, the animations, and everything as the same as I can do on my PC. And then when I'm in presentation mode, you'll see that, for example, I can actually see all the different capabilities that I build up into this particular presentation the exact same way that they were. I can stop the presentation. I can do some annotations. And it seems like in this build, oh, there it goes. You see all the animations are coming through. I can continue to swipe. And the animations within the slide, you see the transitions. And this is an 830 device, so it's a device, it is a Lumia 830. It's a device that is not like a flagship device, it's a mid-tier device, and it's performing really, really well, showing here all the animations and transitions. We have even the capability, say, for example, of responding into the presentation. So if I tap on that one, it'll show me that box. If I tap on the first one, it'll show me that other box. If I tap into the last one, it'll show that box. So as you can see, we have lots of productivity capabilities built in into the system that will allow people to be very familiar on the way that they use their PCs and tablets, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think? It's good? Excellent. So if you want to see more demos, you can come up tomorrow at 3:15 on 505. We will be doing there a session just with demos, I think. All right. So let me go back into the presentation and continue to talk about some of the things that we're doing in the area of productivity. We announced yesterday, when we announced Windows 10 the first time, that we were bringing this concept of continuum to the PC, where a PC, if it is a convertible, for example, will detect whether you have a keyboard or not, and then change the behavior between touch or a keyboard and mouse enabled type of device. With Windows 10, we're enabling that capability with phones as well, in a in a very, very interesting way, which I think is one of the most interesting things that we're doing with this particular release. What it means is that you're going to be able now to hook up or dock your device, your phone, into a bigger screen, a completely dumb screen. It doesn't have to have a processor or anything, any type of a screen, and then be able to connect into that screen and then project from the phone the same content up into the bigger screen. Now, as I showed you already, Windows 10 knows when I'm using a smaller screen, and it knows when I'm using a bigger screen. So the applications are intelligent enough to identify that when I'm moving from the smaller screen to a bigger screen, I have to readapt. And it'll show me the bigger screen experience actually being streamed from my phone automatically into the bigger screen. So that way, say for example, there's multiple scenarios that you can imagine with this. Let's imagine a mobile worker that is actually only moving around with their phone. They go into a hotel, they hook up their phone into the big screen that they have on their hotel room. They can carry a Bluetooth keyboard and a mouse, as we have in there, and then suddenly, just with their phone, they can have a full screen experience using Outlook for their email or for Excel as well, that will use a full screen as well, just by using their phone. So very, very convenient. Same thing, for example, if you have a very beefy, powerful laptop that you don't want to be carrying around, and you just go home and you want to do quick email in your home, you can go into your desk, have just a screen in there, hook it up into that screen, and be able to have a full screen experience just using your phone. The interesting thing is that we use a specific hardware to enable this, and this is a capability that is going to come with new devices coming with Windows 10 preloaded. This is one of the few things that we are building up in Windows 10 that won't be available in existing devices that get updated into 10, because it requires a specific new Qualcomm chip for that. The reason because of that is because when you are projecting your screen on the bigger screen, you can continue to use your phone as a phone independently of what is being projected into the screen. So imagine a different scenario where you're going on a vacation trip and you're bringing your kids with you. And you are in the hotel and you want to watch your ESPN results on the NFL team, or in my case, a soccer game, for example. And my little kids, they just want to watch a movie. So what you can do is you can actually have your phone, stream a movie from your phone into the bigger screen of something that you have in Netflix or Windows or in the music service from Microsoft, and then continue to use your phone browsing in Microsoft Edge or checking your email, and both things are going to work at the same time. At the same time, you can have your phone connected, wired into the screen, and then be in your phone charged while you are doing these things. Or you can, in the future, we're going to be able to do it also wirelessly, but still connect your phone to connect through Miracast or something like that to project the information into the screen as well. And again, as I said, I mean, you can continue to use the phone as a phone while you are projecting something else. So if you can continue to receive your text messages, you can continue to use your phone to have a conversation, etc. So very excited about this particular implementation that we're doing in Windows 10.
Are there any devices that are available today that do that?
Say it again?
Are there any devices available today that have the hardware in it to do the projection?
No. For phone, no. All right. So we talked about the concept of universal applications. And something interesting that we're doing in the platform is that all these applications that I showed you before, I showed you Cortana, I showed you the Action Center, I showed you the mail and calendar experience, and I showed you Office. All these applications that we're building as first-party applications are moving into this new world of universal apps. So what it means is that all these applications, instead of, as we did before, where we're part of the release of the OS, are going to be stores that you can update through the store. And this is great because it's going to lower down the footprint of the operating system that needs to be validated by the mobile operators. So updates are going to become more quicker as we release them. And also it's going to allow us to have innovation into these particular applications more frequently that gets updated through the store quickly, bringing more capabilities. Now, the concept of universal apps is the fact that you actually create one single application, you target these different devices, and then the application adapts into each one of these devices to make them look optimized for each one of them. And this can apply for applications that we're building, like the ones I talked to you about, Office, Outlook, Mail, Calendar, etc. And it can also apply for line of business applications that you guys create. Some examples of that are some other applications that we're building that are more consumer type of applications, like the People app. Look at the People app now. It's going to become a universal application. It's going to be the same app across the phone and the PC, and you're going to be able to promote this content into Skype, for example, and be able to have a communication like that. But you see how consistent they both look like. Same thing happens with the application that we have for photos. It's going to be the same Photos application on the phone and on the PC, where you can look at your stream of photos. It's very consistent again. The menus are located on the same, on a similar way. You have the same options in both. You can look around into your collection and stuff like that. Similarly, what we're doing with Maps, and in Maps, for example, in Phone and Windows Phone 8.1, we actually have 3 Maps applications. Remember, we had here Maps, here Maps for just looking at the maps, here Drive for directions, and here Transit for transit instructions. Now we are combining everything on just one single application, which is good. And we're bringing, yeah, you can get excited, that's good. And we're bringing that application into the PC as well. So again, a productivity scenario where I need to plan my trip ahead, I can do that on my PC, as you saw that we were doing in there. Once that you have set it up, then you can actually move that into my phone, and then I can continue my voice directions on my phone later on without a problem. So that's something else that we're doing in there. And of course, we have support for offline maps in both of them. So now what I would like to do is I would like to invite Nick Hederman from the Lumia team to come up and explain to us what we're doing to enabling all these multiple different type of devices. As I said before, Windows 10 is about enabling devices across all the stack of devices, from IoT devices all the way up into big screen devices. Specifically for phone, we're working very hard with lots of OEMs to continue to have an offer that will have Windows 10 mobile devices with multiple different OEMs. Now, of course, we're working very closely with the Lumia team to have a very strong offering coming from our first-party group that will be able to give you guys a nice solution with Windows 10, specifically for the phone business. So with that, Nick.
Thanks very much, and thank you, Augusto. And good morning, everyone. So on behalf of the Lumia team, I can tell you that now we're part of the Microsoft business, that we're both very excited and optimistic about the future. We are taking full advantage of this new environment that we're in, like the proverbial kids in the sweet shop, if you like. We're now part of this bigger Microsoft engine and all these wonderful enterprise and commercial solutions that we have out there. Just to be a bit more specific, since we came part of Microsoft, the engineering teams, the teams that do support, the sales and the marketing guys have all aligned around a vision for business mobility. We are focused on providing the best end-to-end business mobility solution in the market. We believe we do a good job today, but we're not stopping there. We're going to focus and make sure that we're constantly challenging and testing and bringing you what we believe to be the best in the market in terms of a solution. We're also leveraging Microsoft in other ways, perhaps more obvious ways. You can see here as an example on the device on the screen that every new product we launch now carries that Microsoft logo and that Microsoft brand. And that's helping us with businesses and with individuals all around the world. And finally, we're getting ready for Windows 10. Before I go on to that, let's talk a little bit more around why businesses today are buying Lumia. It's that same enterprise-grade operating system that runs across all of our devices, that you as IT people can control, secure, and manage, that respects your existing investments in other technologies, and gives the end user a really beautiful, easy-to-use experience from Outlook and the keyboard, built-in Office, Cortana, just to name a few examples. And of course, all of the devices from Lumia have the heritage that Nokia have built up over many, many years of building really high-quality, solid devices. In fact, I was on the booth yesterday. I was chatting with lots of different folks who came to see us, and I saw lots of Lumia 920s coming out of pockets. That was a product we launched in 2012, so well over 3 years ago. Still going strong. A few bumps and scratches around the edges where they've been dropped, but still, going strong, running the latest version of the OS, and a product that's built to last. So if I was to summarize what Lumia is about, it's about choice, different products, different price points, different screen sizes, consistency of the operating system, consistency so that you can manage and control and secure, and quality, build quality, as well as software quality. So let's look at the existing products in market today. And this is a global view, so that will vary depending on which country you come from. At the high end, we have 3 products. The Lumia 930, otherwise known as the Icon here in the US, the 830 that Augusto mentioned earlier, and the 735. At the low end, we have a whole wealth of products. These products are really helpful for certain markets where we've got first-time smartphone users moving up from a mobile phone to a smartphone, or for people who are looking for perhaps a value-based device. And in the middle, just recently announced at Mobile World Congress this year the new Lumia 640, which is this one, and the 640 XL, this one here. Great products. In fact, I'm actually going to spend just a little bit of time on these two phones as they're so new to our portfolio. They're literally rolling out as we speak in countries around the world. So this is the 640 here. Really lovely device. See if we can get this to go forwards. There we go. Really lovely device, nice and thin, beautifully built. It's got a 5-inch display. It's got a great camera on it. It's got a dual SIM option as well, so if you want to have your personal SIM and your work SIM in the same device to save you from carrying 2 phones around, it's a really nice idea there. Comes in 3G and 4G LTE, and the prices start from 140 euros. So you just think about that. That's off contract for 140 euros. You could buy perhaps 4 of these for the same price as an iPhone, and yet it gives you that beautiful consistency, build quality, and choice. If you have bigger hands, then you can have the XL version. Or if you just like a bigger screen, of course. This one happens to have the nice little integrated cover on it, so you can put your credit card or your ID card on the inside. And this is the bigger brother of the 640. A slightly bigger screen. It's a 5.7-inch screen, HD, of course. Again, we have the dual SIM capability on this one. This one's got a 13-megapixel camera, Zeiss lens on the back. And, importantly, a 3,000 milliamp battery. That keeps you going all day, and if not, into the next. But the question that I kept getting yesterday, in fact, if I had $1 for every time I had this question, perhaps I'd be retired today and on a beach in the Bahamas, was, what are you doing about Windows 10 flagship devices? Well, I'm afraid I'm not going to say anything more today than we've previously commented at other conferences. But there are a couple of things that I do want to point out. The first thing is that we are committed to Windows 10 as a team. It's so important that all of our existing products get Windows 10 as an over-the-air update. So just like in the past where Windows Phone 8 went to 8.1, we are working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that any device that is purchased today will get Windows 10. So if anyone, for example, were to pick up the 640, they're going to get Windows 10 running that as soon as it's technically possible. Now, of course, when I say vast majority, there are always exceptions to every single rule, so I can't say absolutely every single device in the world will get Windows 10, but it's our ambition to get as many of them possible onto Windows 10. And then I just want to wrap up by saying we are absolutely committed to our flagship program. It's going well. I've got nothing more to say about it today, but know that we have new flagships coming to support the launch of Windows 10 in the near future. Now, this wouldn't be a phone session without the opportunity to win a phone. So we have actually 2 devices today. One I'm going to ask for some response, and we will give away now. Augusto is also going to give another one away a little bit later on. And it's not going to be quite as simple as throwing your hand up into the air. I'm actually going to ask for anyone who is brave and willing enough to stand up and go to either one of these 2 microphones, who would be willing to share one of their fun, positive, enjoyable experiences that they've either had with Lumia in the workplace or in their personal life. With the rest of the audience, there's a chap at the back here whose hand went up straight away. So please come up to this microphone, sir. What is your name?
Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Welcome. I'm going to give you between 1 to 2 minutes. You have to think on your feet and tell us what you like about Lumia.
I've had a 1520 for a while. I'm not going to lie, I actually broke it on Monday. They don't make them anymore, so I ordered a mint new condition device off the internet to replace it. So it should actually be here. And I actually have a 830 as my Windows 10 device loaded up to test around. So I've been using that as a fill-in.
Great.
I'm hoping you guys come out with a new flagship device soon.
So what do you tell me about what you like about your 1520 or your 1320?
I like the 1520 because it's harder for me to type on this, and I go to the gym a lot. Everybody's like, why do you carry like a tablet? But I sit at the gym, and when I do cardio, I put it on the treadmill and watch movies on my phone. I do it like every single day, probably get an hour in on that phone. So.
Cool. Thanks very much, Jeff. Come and see me at the end, and we'll sort you out with a phone. Thanks very much. There will be another opportunity to win another phone. Get your stories in your mind already. Like I say, especially if you've got some examples of how you might have deployed Lumia within your business environment and maybe challenging some of the IT sort of areas around management security. I'll be very interested to hear from you about those. So without further ado, I'm going to hand back to Augusto, and he's going to take you through the last part of the presentation. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so I think we're going to have to switch into this one. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Sorry about that. All right. We're going to go check for that to see if we can fix it. So, oh, it's actually really going on. Does anybody have the password of this machine? We need the password of the main machine. Okay. So let's talk about security, which is the next topic that we have in here, and what we're building in Windows 10 for security on phones. So it is about securing identity, securing the data on the device, securing the device itself, and then securing the connection. So I'm going to drill down a little bit on each one of these areas. So about securing the identities, to actually build up a system that will allow us to have a first-class citizen device that connects into the organization. So what this means is that we're going to be enabling now capabilities that we didn't have before, which allows a Windows 10 mobile device or a Windows phone to connect into the environment using multiple different ways. So if you have a bring your own device type of scenario, you have to still bring your device into the organization and then activate that device using your Microsoft account, which is your personal account for having access to the store and having access to your personal information. What we're adding support in Windows 10 for phones now is to be able to have also capabilities for enrolling into Azure Active Directory, and then through federation into your on-premises Active Directory as well, and have the device enrolled that way into my organization. So I can then control and manage those devices using my mobile device management environment through the Azure Active Directory enrollment that I have done on the phone itself. And that's what you do when you have a combined scenario like the first one, which is a personal owned type of device. We also now allow you, in a corporate liable scenario, when the device is fully owned by the organization, to only have the enrollment into the Microsoft, into the Azure Active Directory capability or enrollment process. So when you do that, then you don't have to have at all a Microsoft account on the device, and you can still enable services like, for example, deploying public applications through the business portal that I'll describe in a second later into those devices. So it's going to really allow you to have a device that is fully controllable and manageable using only your corporate resources without having to deploy a personal identity on the phone itself. But you can have both of those two capabilities in here. And again, as I said before, we're going to have sessions that are going to drill down much more technically into how this is done and what are the capabilities that you can enable through this particular scenario. We're also enabling new next-generation user credentials into the devices. So what this means is that we're going to have capabilities built into the operating system that will enable devices that will have, for example, fingerprint readers or face recognition type of capabilities as well into phones. It was announced a few weeks ago, the concept of Windows Hello and Passport. All those concepts are valid into phone as well. As you saw them demonstrated onto the PC, they work on the phone, and we expect in the future to have new phones that are going to be coming with capabilities to be able to take advantage of Windows Hello on the phones as well. So we're very excited about that. In the area of enterprise data protection, we're doing many investments in here, and this is a key area for us. We are building up a new environment on how you are going to be able to protect your data by basically declaring inside the operating system different type of ways that an application can behave depending on how the data that application is using has been marked up. And this concept is a concept that we're using to basically have a user-friendly data separation of personal data versus corporate data. And we call it user-friendly because typically today on organizations, the strategy for actually achieve this is by containerization, which I never can pronounce well, so hopefully you guys understand what I mean by that. It's to build containers, right? To build containers that are independent one from the other within inside the device itself. The problem with that is that it is a container, so it's completely isolated, and also the user experience of what you're building up into a container tends to be different from what people is used to use on the regular day on the device itself. And it rolls out a different application to do email. It rolls out a different application to do some other of the management stuff that you do on your phone itself. In Windows 10, we're building it up on the operating system itself. So you're going to be able to declare an application depending on how that application behaves in different type of ways. So let me actually give you an example for this. So imagine this example where you have your phone, and this is a poor graphic we have in here, but hopefully you'll follow me on what I see right here by this. In the left side, you can see applications that I have declared as business applications only, like, for example, Lync, or now Skype for Business, or OneDrive for Business, or a line of business application that you guys have created. And then to the right, you see applications that I have declared as applications that are purely personal, like Facebook or WhatsApp, etc. So then documents or content that you are moving around inside those applications, you're not going to be able to move documents or content that is coming from one type of application into the other. The interesting piece actually becomes the piece in the middle, which is this group of applications that can behave as corporate or personal in different instances. Like, for example, email, where you can have a corporate email and a personal email. Now with Windows 10, you're going to be able to identify and mark, for example, a corporate account and then a personal account in the same email application, and then not allow to, for example, send emails from one account to the other because they are completely separate, even though the application is exactly the same. Another example is Word or the browser. So let me give you an example on that, where I can declare, for example, that Word is a hybrid type of application. We call that Enlightened. And sorry about that, guys. I mean, it's just still this screen that is not coming back, so I could go back in and then present from the main machine. And this is the HDMI content that is not working well. So in the example that I was trying to tell you about Word, you can actually have an application that it will, say, for example, that I open up a Word document from a corporate SharePoint site. So then that document is going to be marked as corporate through the MDM system. Once I open up that document on Word on my phone, if I want to copy a section of that document and paste it on a browser session, for example, on Twitter, the system is going to give me a notification saying that that is not allowed by policy because that source of document is coming from a corporate source, and I'm trying to paste this into a personal type of application, like, for example, in this case, the browser. So that is one example of what we're doing in there. The interesting thing is that, number one, for the end user, this is going to be transparent because they don't need to learn a new application to do any of these things. We are enabling all the Office applications, the mail applications, OneNote, to be able to take advantage of this capability inside Windows 10. It is consistent across devices because this capability is going to become available in phone, but also on the PC. So you manage it in the exact same way, and for end users, it's the exact same way how they do it on the PC and how they do it on the phone. And you, from the MDM's perspective to manage all these capabilities, you do it on the exact same way. And then also the APIs that we're using to enlighten these applications so you can make those applications like hybrid are also public. So if you create a line of business application that you want that to behave also as a hybrid application, that for some reason you want to separate personal information from data, from corporate information in your line of business app, you can also do that because the APIs are available and you can use them to create that application and mark them up into the MDM system to control it. So we're very excited about this enterprise technology that we're building with data protection that will allow us to control the information that you have on your phone. And this combined with IRM brings a very, very, very solid protection of your data inside an enterprise organization. This machine has died, so we just need to, if you can help me out finding somebody who can. Okay. It's now back, but we just need to enter the password. All right. So the next thing that we are doing is about securing your device, and this is something that we have been doing already for Windows Phone before, which basically allows us to have a very secure device that protects all the device all the way from the secure, from the boot up process and from the beginning when the device is booting up. We support full device encryption, as we did in Windows Phone 8.1, and we're going to continue to support that. And we're building up also this sandboxing infrastructure that will allow you to have separation in between application data, so malware is not being able to transmit it from one application to the other, protecting the consistency of the way that the device is performing. Also, thank you. Am I back? Okay, it's not going to be flicking anymore. Also, we have many certifications that we're going to continue to carry for Windows 10 Mobile as well. In the securing the connection area, we're also improving the way that we're going to be able to connect into backend systems with VPN support and data connection in Windows 10 Mobile as well, which will allow us to continue to improve the VPN type of capabilities that we had in phone before, expanding it so you are now you're going to be able to have now specific applications that will trigger the VPN. You can also have specific sites or specific websites that are going to be able to trigger automatically the VPN. You can also have the option, if you decide to do so, that VPN has to be always on, which has its implications, but you can actually have the choice to do that now. We're expanding the manageability of the options through MDM, so you can actually deploy these profiles for VPN in a more automatic way. And we are also expanding the capability for using not only our own VPN client on the phone, but you could also use third-party VPN clients that you might want to use on the device, and then just either distribute those clients through the public store or through your own private store, which is something that I'm going to be describing in the next few minutes. So then moving on into the last section, which is a section around management, which is a very important section of what we're doing here as well on the devices itself. So what we're building up here is that we're building up management choices, provisioning, and then application store for business. And these are some of the areas that we're focusing on here. What we're doing in Manage for Continuous Innovation, it's about building up a system and we're adding one additional thing, which is around stay current and agility and control, which is something that I'll cover in a few minutes as well. In the management choices, something that we're doing is we're continuing to have built-in management that works with existing MDM systems. So the idea is that it can use Windows Intune, as it can use also other third-party type of vendor solutions for MDM, like some of the key third-party MDM solutions that are available in market today. We have full support to them. We're building up on standards so they can actually use the same capabilities that we use in Intune to create their own MDM capability as well. But the interesting thing that we're doing with 10 is that we're expanding the MDM capabilities that we had in phone before with Windows Phone 8.1 to have more controllable policies on the devices itself. But we are also making this available into PCs and tablets. So now you're going to be able to use MDM solutions to also manage, if you want to do so, PCs and tablets running with Windows 10 as well. And some of the capabilities that we enable in the mobile device management area are all the lifecycle capabilities that we have in here, which goes from the enrollment and the provisioning that we do here. And this is something that you can do directly into the MDM system. But as I said before, now that we support Azure Active Directory for enrollment, you can use Azure Active Directory to enroll not only to our first-party solution for MDM, but also for third parties as well, with just one single sign-on from the end user to be able to enable all those capabilities. That will start deploying all the device configuration and security once that the enrollment happens, deploying certificates on the phone, deploying profiles on the phone, setting up potentially email accounts and provisioning and limiting phones, removing certain applications, installing applications, etc. And all those capabilities are going to be available as you are deploying and enrolling those devices into the organization. Then we have the remote assistant capabilities of being able to, from the console, fully remote wipe the device or basically unenroll the device from the enrollment system. And then finally, what you can do as well in the unenrollment moment is to basically remove all the things that were deployed into the phone during the enrollment process. And any content that was created on the phone using the enterprise data protection capabilities that I mentioned before and wipe all the content that was created under constraint from the phone, and leaving all my personal information in the phone without being touched. So MDM is very connected into enterprise data protection that I mentioned before, securing not only the things that I deploy through MDM, but also the content that I probably authored or created on my phone using enterprise data protection, using Word or using Excel or using any of the applications that I have marked as corporate applications onto the device. Okay, so the next section that we have in mobile device in the management options is what we're going to be enabling, giving you tools to be able to provision the device itself. And what we have here is that traditionally we have enabled mobile operators to change the way that a device will perform on the first run. So they can have actually different particular steps that you have to take as an end user when you run the device for the first time. Now with Windows 10, what we're going to be enabling for phone is that you are going to have similar tools to be able to customize a device that you give to your end user as a device that you provide to the end user, and then force the device to actually go through the steps that you want it to go in the first run process that an end user will do. So you can say, for example, remove the step where you have to enroll into the Microsoft account to enable some of those services onto the phone, and then replace that by enrolling it into your Azure Active Directory environment. So that is something that you can do now. It can be deployed into the device by using a USB stick or on an SD card, or just using a USB connection into the phone. We deploy through that the XML file that will replace the XML file that is on the device by doing the provisioning, and then you can change the flow that provisioning is going to take into the device on the first run. You can also do provisioning on the device on later runs. So you can, for example, set up a provisioning package that will be stored somewhere on your network, and then when an end user receives the device, they go through the regular enrollment, the regular first run process that comes from the mobile operator, and then when they enter their username and password, a provision package will be deployed into the device and will provision the device differently, removing certain applications, adding certificates, etc. Or you can do this by, say, for example, NFC. So you can start deploying NFC codes in different areas into your organization, and then an end user just will go and then tap into that NFC code and then automatically trigger the NFC package into that particular device and start doing the provisioning of the device post first run. So all these tools are going to become available for you, and we have a session on provisioning that will give you more details on the specifics of how that works and what are the type of capabilities that you have available to do in that area. Now, the store is something that we were talking about earlier today and what we're doing on the store for consumers. This is what we're doing on the store for enterprises. We realize that it's very important for enterprises to control devices on the way that they deploy applications in the device itself. And we're building up a new store concept that will allow us to have a very friendly and enterprise-friendly capability for you to deploy applications into devices, no matter how these devices are coming into the organization. So we are going to be able to, for example, volume license applications that are public, and then make those applications available internally through your company portal into for your end users. Additionally, we're going to have a flexible licensing schema that will allow you to reclaim and reuse. So, for example, if you had volume licensing for 1,000 licenses of one particular application, and then you have users starting to consume those licenses, but then users leave, for example, you can reclaim that license and then continue to have that pool of licenses and reuse that license into another end user coming into the organization. There's flexible distribution through the company store, through the company portal, and you can use your own company store. So let me give you the 3 examples of how you can actually have application deployment methods in an organization. So the first one is the most open one, and the one that we have available now and we have had available before, which is the Windows Store capability. What this is that an end user will still require to have a Microsoft account to basically go and then acquire applications from the public store, and it's the common method that we have today where you have to actually pay for that app if it is a paid app using a credit card or using a gift card or stuff like that. So that's what we already had existing. What we're adding is what we have on the middle, which is this concept of the business store portal. The business store portal is something that, or the business store, is something that you have as an organization where you can have access through a web browser session to all the applications that ISVs have made available through the portal, where you can go and then start identifying which applications you want to license on behalf of your end users and make them available through your company portal. So that way, you can volume license those applications and then have those applications available for your end users on your company portal. But then in this particular case, your end users can still have access to the public application store using their own Microsoft account or their personal ID to get into there without a problem. So you have both of those two options. And then the third one, and for that middle section, what you have to have as an end user is your Microsoft account for your public store, and then your Azure Active Directory account for your company portal piece. In the third option, you can completely strip out the requirement of having a personal account using the Microsoft account for your company store, completely removing that from the device, and only using your Azure Active Directory join to be able to have access to the company portal, make available in the company portal your corporate liable or your corporate line of business applications, and then also the public applications that you volume license through the business portal, and then have only that option for end users to have access to those applications through that particular method. So you have those three options as an organization to be able to give access to your end users to apps at any time. Now, the final topic that I wanted to cover as well is that we are making changes on how Windows Phone gives you more agility to be able to have new updates coming into the device and then have more control into how those devices get updated. For consumer devices, the updates are going to come through Windows Update as they come today. You as an end user can go and then trigger that update by going into settings and update, and then basically update your device at any time that you want to do so as an end user. For business devices, we're adding the capability now that you as an organization can basically hold the update for those devices. So you can have a period of time where those devices can have, where you can test those updates and then wait until those updates become stable in the market and then deploy them after a period of time into those devices when you're ready to get them deployed within that window of time that we're going to be holding those updates before they can be deployed. And you do this through volume licensing. So for enabling this capability on the devices, there's going to be a volume license option for you to upgrade your Windows 10 mobile licensing to this kind of like new licensing model that will allow you to control the way that updates are deployed into the devices themselves. And it is MDM managed. So basically using MDM and the Windows Update for Business that was announced yesterday is how you're going to be able to deploy those updates into those devices that you are control. But these are updates that are going to go into specifically corporate level type of devices or devices that you issue into your organization. So with that, we have gone through this kind of like lap around all the content. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring back again the eye chart that we had there with the sessions that basically has all the different sessions that we're going to have, which, as I said before, we're going to be drilling down into the specifics and the technical aspects of all the topics that we have covered today. Like, for example, mobile device management, we have a session for that. Provisioning on the phones, we have a single session all specifically for provisioning, how you do that, the provisioning of the devices, as I explained it before. We're going to have a session dedicated on enterprise data protection. We have a session dedicated on BYOD type of scenarios and how you can actually control these type of devices and different devices into the organization. So that's the list that we have in there, and I hope you guys look at those. And then finally, I wanted to just summarize the points that we talked today, which is how we're building Windows 10 for mobile devices to be more productive, to enable and empower all these devices that are going to allow you to have innovative type of capabilities across all different devices. And then finally, how to secure these devices on an enterprise environment, and then how to mobile device management these devices as well. So the last thing that I would like to do before we go into questions is that somebody wants to come in, okay, you sir, and share a good story about their deployment of Windows Phone into their organizations. What's your name before and your hi there.
I'm working for a large European aircraft manufacturer.
Okay.
So our company has a certain reluctance around clouds, against clouds, and my best Windows Phone experience has been the deactivated OneDrive on my phone.
Yeah.
Since we deployed the whitelist, and so this feature was really deactivated. And the security people, they were enlightened by this. And also enlightened by going into the Windows Store and seeing that you cannot install the things that we do not allow. And this was the best experience. We did it on the Android and the iPhone, and it was a really different experience. Since on these devices, we can only close a container, close a container after the shit has been downloaded from these stores. And with
right.
Windows Phone, we really had the experience to pre-configure what the people can see.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. So if you can come back, see me right after the session, I mean, you have one of fun. Thanks so much. And that's a good point that we're making. When I talk about enterprise data protection, for example, that is something that we're going to have in Lightning as well, which is OneNote. And you're going to be able now to, for example, deploy OneDrive. You're going to be able to deploy OneDrive, but still make a differentiation that you cannot share information from your personal OneDrive into your business OneDrive, giving you an additional alternative on how you want to manage those things. So with that, I will just leave. Would like to thank you guys for being here on the session, and then give you. I think we have 1 minute for questions if somebody wants to ask a question, or we're going to be around here if you have some other questions. Yes.
I'm looking forward to having all these mobile devices, right? Phone, tablet, PC, a virtual desktop that I can get to. But with certain Microsoft products like Project and Visio, which are licensed on a per device basis,
Right.
how am I going to get Project and Visio without having 5 different licenses? Has that been an issue that you've discussed?
I'm not very familiar with the specific cases of Visio and Project because they are not available for the mobile device. I will need to follow up on that one.
I was just hoping you might have the answer.
Yeah.
My company is a big user of the project.
Project and Visio.
Yeah, so it's a big issue for us. How do we manage licenses and mobile?
My understanding is that we're moving some of those things into per user device type of per user licensing as well. But my recommendation will be to go to the booth for them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they cannot use cloud services. Yes, sir. Can you come closer because I think we're wrapping up here.